Welcome back to the Twin Times podcast, episode 23. Today we have another special guest. His name is Matthew Knight. We talk about his passion for sport and how it all started, his stance on community sport, and then we also talk about his sports media company, King of the North Media. Other than that, let's hop into the episode. How have you been anyway? It's been a while between innings.
It has been. It has been. No, going good, boys. Going good. So got lots on the go at the minute, especially this week.
So for our audience, Matty, can you tell us a bit about yourself and, in a way, how your passion for sport began? Did it begin as a young tacker, or?
Yeah. So I don't think I ever had a choice other than to not be in sport. I come from a family that mum and dad were very heavy into their own sports, and pretty much as soon as we could start walking or talking at a footy or a cricket bat or whatever sort of ball we could in our hands. So I don't know. I don't think I was destined to do anything else other than play sport. So um, yeah, sort of as obviously the years come on, it was just a part of who I was and my DNA. So yeah, we're very heavily sporting family. So not yeah,
What
didn't have a
type of
choice.
sports? What type of sports were your mum and dad into? Was it all sports, or was it like one specific?
Yeah, it was probably all, but definitely dad was footy and cricket.
Yeah.
Footy and cricket with a bit of golf, and then mum was a state softballer for Victoria, so she was always softball. But then coming from a heavy sporting family, was into going to the footy. She's a massive Collingwood fan, so she was always into her footy and that as well. And then I think once
Yeah.
dad came on, she had to start to get into her cricket. So
Yeah,
um,
right. Are you
so
a
sort of.
Collingwood supporter? I don't actually know.
No, I'm North Melbourne. So as you can
Oh,
see in
wow.
the
Oh, hence the yeah.
so dad's North. So me and dad are North, and then mum's Collingwood. So mum and my sister are Collingwood. So there's actually goes through the family a little bit. There's a bit of that rivalry where my granddad's North and my grandma's Collingwood. So it's good rivalry.
Yeah, fuck me. You're not going all that flash, but there's some improvement and some life coming through North Melbourne. Yeah, especially with
Always
Clark.
you got to look at the positives, boys.
You do. Yeah. So in a way, you sort of said it there. You love playing footy and cricket. What sort of drew you to those sports?
Yeah. Well, I actually just I think from always being around those sports from a young kid with mum and dad always been at the footy club. They always say about as kids, they never, they were 24 when they had me. So obviously in the heights of their social life, so it was they weren't going to miss out. They still don't miss out, and they're in their 50s. But it was either put me two chairs together and sleep under the tables at the cricket club or the footy club, so they could still enjoy their night. So I think that's what dad did. So that's what he knew and that's what he taught me. So I think that was just, I think playing in a team sport over an individual sport was something I was always keen to do. I tried tennis. I was going to play tennis and I was going to miss out on my mate's 10th birthday party or not, or something like that. If I played tennis, I quit before the first game, the night before, so I could go to his birthday party. So yeah, I was always team first in that aspect.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
that is very interesting. Do you believe that your passion for sport, when you were younger, made you feel like that you were a part of the community?
Yeah, definitely. I think coming from Melbourne, so I moved over from Melbourne to Adelaide when I was 11. I think I was turning
Okay.
11. So definitely Melbourne, yes, like it's a different setup in suburban footy. So from a junior club point of view, then we'd all go watch the seniors on a Saturday. Then coming to Adelaide to Gawler, which is more of a country feel. And you all play on a Saturday before the A grade, so it's a full day at the footy from under 11s to under 13s to all the way through. So it's probably two different types. There's um, Melbourne was very, and Roval Footy Club was very the junior parents and all that. We had all my best mates from school were there. Then coming to Adelaide to Gawler, where it's a real community feel with everyone on the same day, and you've got netball attached. So they're two different styles, but very community based. And I think that's, we'll probably talk about it later, but what I do now and all that sort of stuff, it's on the basis of those relationships that you build at a footy club, and the people that you meet at footy clubs is, you can meet some pretty important and powerful people.
Yeah, you can for sure, man. What made well, obviously your parents probably made that decision, but what made them want to come down to Gawler? Was it family or did they have any
Yeah,
family here?
nah. So it was dad's work was why we moved over. So the funny thing is, we actually, I think, we thought we were going to New Zealand. So
Yeah, right.
we'd
Yeah.
had so there was a role in New Zealand where I think he got down to the final two, and it was all about done. So there was no footy over there, so it was going to be playing cricket. Cricket was my number one sport, but then playing rugby, which would have been interesting. I might have been better suited to rugby, but
You
uh,
probably would be good at it. Yeah.
it still doesn't. I still don't understand how it works, but it was
Me
New
neither.
Zealand, and then that didn't come through, and then basically had his choice of, I think it was Paris, Shanghai, or Adelaide, and mum and dad went to Paris and had a look around, and I think they went to Shanghai as well, actually, and had a look around, and the main reason was being a sporting family, and the sport's not that big there, so
Yeah.
chose Adelaide, a bit closer to home. So could have lived in Paris, could have lived in Shanghai, but I'm in
Oh,
Adelaide.
well. Fuck
I haven't
me.
looked
Yeah.
back.
How life would have been different, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to think about that sometimes, and well, I don't know. I might be eating snails at the moment if I was in Paris. So rather than talking to you boys.
Eat snails and watching Roland Garros.
Maybe naughty, maybe.
Yeah.
How did your passion for sports drive you to want to build a career in sports and content marketing?
Yeah, I actually thought this the other day, because I was something I haven't told you boys, but I'm actually I sit my exam this week to become an AFL player manager. So
Oh
Fuck
wow.
me. Congratulations. I
hopefully
hope that goes all right.
hopefully I pass it. But so
Yeah.
I've kept that reasonably quiet before I sit the exam. So I've had my course and everything. But
Yeah.
it made me think about this question the other day. And mum always says that as a kid, um, all I said I wanted to do when I grew up, it was either play AFL, play for Australia, or work in an AFL store. That was
Yeah,
all I ever
right.
said I wanted to do. So, growing up in Melbourne, it was I'm going to go work at the AFL store, and now the thought of doing that is just crazy. But it was
Mm,
always thought was all it was always sport. That was
mm,
from 5 years old. So, um, to find a way to bring sport and what I'm good at together is something that I started to look at sort of through 2017, 2018. It was how can I make this work? And I was working at the Bunyip Newspaper in 2018 in advertising sales.
mm-hmm.
So that was my first sort of corporate sales gig. And I was doing a little podcast or a vidcast on the Barossa footy because I love talking about the Barossa footy, and that idea come from around how do we give local clubs the same exposure that AFL gets without the cost.
Yeah.
So we're doing that with the Bunyip and boys Grady and Jack, who I was doing it with, who we had a ball doing it. We all sort of went our separate ways, and um, I'd sort of been in the sales and saw the decline in newspaper and newspaper advertising and how tough it was. And
Mm.
I thought if I could actually implement this, how do I implement what I've learned here from sales and advertising into being able to build a sports company and do something that I enjoy doing and talking about? And that's when Cotton was sort of a nickname that it happened for sort of couple of years before that, just through just some stupid stuff. But it was that was when we were actually able to build a business in around media and wanted to have some fun and make a little money on the side, which was all it was meant to do at the start. Was pay to have a couple of beers and catch up, and pretty quickly it sort of escalated and turned into something a bit more serious. And we're still
Mm.
here today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
mate.
right.
It's been a beautiful journey for sure, and we're going to get into so it's content, is it?
Yeah,
Is that how you pronounce it?
Cotton KOTN. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
whatever.
I was just gonna say King of the North.
Yeah, is that's
King
the actual.
That's the acronym, yeah. So
Yeah.
it doesn't it's funny when people say at the start it was a bit of fun, and then when people actually use it in a serious sense now it can be a bit cringy, but it's its own brand, so we got to roll with it and keep
Yeah.
going with
Yeah.
it.
How did it all begin, Nighty? And was it always something you wanted to do, or did it just naturally go from sport into media?
Yeah, it was something I never knew I wanted to do, or something I never knew
Mm.
the pathway to get to. And when I was working at the Bunyip in advertising sales, part of my job was to read other papers in the
Mm.
local area and pick up if there was any businesses that we could go and get new leads from, or new advertising from. And I was reading the classifieds of the leader, I reckon it was, the Barossa newspaper, and it was Triple BFM, which is community radio. We're looking to start a sports show on a Saturday morning. So I sent it to the other boys that I was working with at the Bunyip that we were doing the show together, and said we should go and do this. This would be a bit of fun. And we went, me and Jack, one of the other boys, went and did it, and he's having a very successful career in media from a journalism point of view now as well. And we went and did it and had a ball. But I was living in Norwood at the time, driving to Tanunda to do a show for
Mm.
free. Um, so again, that come down to how can I talk, and we're talking about Barossa footy. So it was how can I do this where we talk about Barossa footy in a 20-minute time slot when I'm available, and we can make some money out of it. And that's where we sort of went, let's start a business and do it. And we started and did it the first year, and then obviously priorities and commitments changed. And unfortunately, as I said, Jack's had a very successful career so far. He's been sort of everywhere. He's had his own businesses, the Inner Sanctum and with the advertiser and that. So he moved on, and we sort of rolled through who was going to co-host it and that with us. And it's been going since then. So that was just a bit of fun, and we thought, how can we maximize our time better? Talking about Barossa footy and put a spotlight on Barossa footy, and yeah, we that's what started it all, and it sort of went from there.
Yeah, well, it's grown for sure.
Yeah.
I saw I think it was last year maybe. You did something around, I think it was the Barossa Grand Final. You had,
Yep.
I think, Kane Corns join for like a
Yep.
guest speaking event.
Yeah, so each year we do. One thing I wanted to do was bring up a North Melbourne, do the North Melbourne Grand Final
Yeah.
breakfast, which is the most
Mm.
prestigious breakfast the morning of the AFL Grand Final that everyone goes to. So I was like, how can we bring that to the Barossa as well? So we started each Friday, before the Barossa Grand Final, we do a Grand Final luncheon for the Barossa. So um, we did it in 2019 in our first year of business, and then COVID hit, which we
Mm.
built a lot of momentum at that, which was tough. And so we didn't do one for 2020, 2021, and then we brought it back in 2022 with Tom Duday and Warren Treadray, and then we had Kane last year. I'm hopeful to announce a guest very soon, working on some big names at the moment for who this year's guest will be. But that was just another thing of how do we how does it affect, how can we make it work for our business and get our name out there, especially in the community, um, and also put a spotlight on the Barossa again. So that's been a really successful day and building nicely. So yeah, they're fun those days and hanging
Yeah.
out with those guys. Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you ever get nervous around those types of individuals, or is it sort of just natural?
I think you always, it doesn't matter who you're around. If you're
Mm.
meeting for the first time, I was talking to the boys at footy about this, even, coming to a room to meet them as the new coach, as nervous as anything. So I think the first time you meet people, whether you can mask, I think one thing I do pretty well is I feel like I mask it pretty well and can act pretty professional. But I think the first time anyone ever meets anyone, there's, a bit of anxiety and
Mm.
stress over and what are they going to be like and that. But all those boys have been super. I've been lucky enough to do a couple of things with Warren Treadray now. And Kane, since then, every time he sees me, he says g'day, and he's just a legend. So, I think once you sort of get through that initial period, and I've probably had enough experience around elite athletes or professionals now where it just comes naturally. But yeah, it's some fun times and something that I certainly pinch myself as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, wow. So, as you said before, you worked at the Bunyip Newspaper early in your career. Do you believe that your time at the Bunyip has helped you with your success in building a sports media company like King of the North Media?
Yeah, 100%. I put a lot of it down to my time at the Bunyip, and it was only a short time. I think might have been there for 7 months or 8 months,
Yeah.
but I learned a lot in that time, and I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I always wanted to do
Okay.
my own thing. It was always me and my best mate, Brad Bain, who you boys know as well. We
Yeah.
we did a lot of
Love it.
things. We did a lot of things together through school and that where we always said we want to own a business together. So
Mm.
when this come to life, he was the first person I rang to get involved as an owner, which again he still is today. There's five of us involved, but it was about what were we going to do and what was we knew we wanted to do it, but what was it going to be and what were we going to enjoy doing. So the time we talked about merch and everyone was sort of doing merch at the time, and then this come along and I was at the Bunyip and I thought, hang on, maybe we can do something in the media space. And um, that was the idea we're looking for. We knew what we wanted to do, but it was just how we're going to do it and what space. So the Bunyip definitely helped me find my way to Cotton Media being what it is today.
Yeah, beautiful. I always see is it the bench warmers like
Yeah.
TikToks? I'm bloody
The
that come
bench.
through. It's fucking hilarious.
Well, we gotta try and engage the fans somehow. So
Yeah, you do.
seeing the benchwarmers TikTok, Bain will be happy because that's his feel good fill up, which is his little baby segment that he does.
Oh, is that
Where he's going to come up where he's going to try and come up with an interesting stat or a feel good story from around the world. So he'll be happy that that's got a mention. But yeah, that all that stuff, we're getting better in that space where we don't do everything right, and we're still learning and finding our feet. And we are a small business, so trying to grow that as well. But yeah, he's enjoying the TikTok at the moment, Bainey. So he'll be
Yeah.
happy that's
He's
yeah. Jump on the bench warmers and give it a follow to watch Bainey as well.
nah, good on him. In a way, when doing my research, I saw Daniel Menzel was a director of Cotton Media. What made you want to go after him? Was he a former Cats player? He wasn't he?
Yes,
Played
yeah.
for Geelong.
Big,
Yeah, yeah.
big 16, I think. If I didn't get that right, he'll abuse me as well. But 2010 draft. When we started this, after about 3 weeks, as I sort of mentioned earlier, it was a bit of a project on the Barossa footy. We're lucky enough that Cooper Darms, who was the marketing manager at Central Districts in the Sandful at the time, he's a Barossa boy. He reached out and said, "Hey, liking this, can we do something for Centrals?" So at that stage, we're like, gee, okay, we're onto something that people want here. So 2019, we went down and we did a Central show as well. And through that, Troy Menzel had just gone back to Centrals and was keen to get involved. He was studying journalism. I don't know how much longer it went on after 2019 that he studied journalism, but he was keen to get involved. And at that stage, we're like, you got a bloke that's played AFL footy. He's played 44 games for Carlton and the Crows. Yeah, let's get him involved. So we had Troy involved. At that stage, we also had Travis Head and Mark Cosgrove involved. They were probably just a little bit after, but that's when things started to really escalate. And we're doing a central show, and then by the end of the year, we're doing stuff for the Sandful, and it all sort of spiraled. And then Dan come back to Centrals after getting delisted by Sydney in 2020 for the COVID year, and just through Troy, obviously hit it off with Dan and got to have build a strong relationship with him. Through COVID, he had an injury. He had a Liz Frank injury and couldn't drive, so I was his chauffeur for about 6 months as well. But we had a lot of fun and we're pretty keen. He's a very good businessman, Dan. He's just finished his MBA. I'm a bit more blasé with things. He's very straight to the point and gets things done.
Yeah.
So he's a great bloke to work with, and he keeps me on track, which is good, and that's what he reckons his main job is. But he we're pretty keen, again, you get an AFL footballer in who has been through adversity. He's had 4 ACL reconstructions, the first player to come back from his doco on Fox Footy. It's on YouTube still, is outstanding about his return from 4 ACLs, and to get a player of that caliber, a person of that caliber, and we're pretty keen to do. So it was a no-brainer for us, and yeah, he sort of sets up and keeps us organised and on track at a lot of things still today, and does a little bit of our Sandford work. So yeah, great to have someone of his caliber involved.
Like you said, Travis Head is an ambassador for your company, KOTN Media. And through his ambassadorship, how has he grown your company name?
Yeah, well, obviously Trav's a great mate, and we're pretty keen once we started this and started to think that it was something more than just a little Gawler production. We were pretty keen to put a name to it that gave us some legitimacy at the time, because it was all good to come and say, this is what we do, but no credentials, no uni, no degrees, anything. It was just, we're blokes that are just going to have a crack at this. So we're pretty keen to add some legitimacy to the brand. One thing with all the boys, and so, as I said, there's 5 of us in the ownership group. They're all from the north as well, so it all fits the mold. But we're pretty keen to get him on board as sort of the face, especially early days, and really help extend our profile, and when going and talking to big corporates in the Sandful and that sort of thing, to give legitimacy. And he's been outstanding. Anything I ask for or ask him to do, yep, no worries, mate. Always willing to help me out, which has been outstanding. So he's been a great ambassador for our business for a long period of time. Obviously, now that's even better with the way he's going over the last 2 years. He's had a pretty consistent career when you actually look at it, but sort of what he's done over the last 12 months, especially, he's become the household name that even if you don't watch cricket, Travis Head. So that's been excellent for business, and really good. So he's been outstanding, and been great for adding legitimacy to our brand, to a point now where we're able to be known for our brand, and that Travis Head's a part of it, which is excellent. So he's been great, and he's going well at the moment, which is good.
He's potentially going to be the future captain of the country, I reckon. So it's good to keep him on board if you can, mate. KOTN Media now is more as a digital marketing business, and still doing the sports media side of things?
Yeah, so a lot of people wouldn't know, because we probably haven't advertised it that much yet. It's something that we've still been feeling out and making and getting right over probably the last 18 months, just to be able to expand when we want to. So really the basis of our business now, and what's allowed us to keep growing, is digital marketing. So running company social media, building websites, at Google Ads, paid advertisement, SEOs, all that stuff, sign writing, all of it, are the guys that can do that, or the people that can do that. So very lucky that with a couple of our bigger clients, the Exchange Hotel in Gawler, and the Salisbury North Footy Club, with their facility there, we are also, along with our other clients that we deal with, there's about 7 or 8 that we actually deal with on a weekly basis, doing their social media. That allows us to employ my wife, Stacey. So she works from home full time. She's got her own photography business, but then she's able to work as a photographer for us, and then she's a great graphic designer, so works in that space. And then we've got a videographer and that work with us as well. So and website designers and everything. So we're sort of a one-stop shop for businesses to come, and really we use our events and creating events. That's the space that I enjoy more, the event space, and creating good time, and that is as part that we're going to go more into, and that's to drive business through our digital marketing as well, and meet new people to be able to sort of work with them also. So although we haven't promoted it socially yet, it's all been word of mouth, and that's been really successful for us.
Nah, fair enough, Nighty. Yeah, it's going to go well for you for sure. Where do you see the company in 5 to 10 years? Where would you like it to be?
Yeah, I think definitely in that space. I've got a few other business ventures that we're going to go through under the Cotton banner as well. So it's sort of being a one-stop shop for people in the north. A lot of the marketing agencies and that people deal with are all city-based. So how can we be the local guys and looking after all of our local business and that as well. But I'm a big guy for networking and think networking is the best business. So I've got some stuff I want to do in that space and build. And then obviously I love my sport. So scholarships, academies. I'm obviously a footy coach and a footy mad person. So building academies for kids to get better and give them opportunities that they wouldn't get at a normal local footy club. They're all things that we've got in the works under the Cotton banner. So there's going to be a few arms to a few branches to Cotton, but I think we just want to be doing our best and just going well, and not here to make mega amounts of money. Money doesn't drive me. It's doing stuff that I enjoy doing. So obviously you need to pay the bills along the way, but it's doing stuff that I enjoy, and seeing others succeed, which is why I guess, I'm into coaching. I want to do player management. I want to coach at higher levels. I like seeing other people have success. So to be able to create opportunities for people to do that, that's something that we'll be working on in the near future to get up and running. So that's going to be pretty cool. Some of the stuff we're working on at the minute.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
It's going to be beautiful to see. We're going to get into a bit about Gawler Central and South Gawler footy clubs. So you obviously still have connections with those clubs. Do you love being a part of those community environments?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, with coaching, I'm part of my own community with Athelston and in the Adelaide Footy League. But still catching up with those guys. I played golf last week with a few of the Gawler Central boys and a few of the Gawler South boys in our chip-in comp, which Edie that runs it, he'll be happy to get a mention. So it's always good to catch up with those boys, and you miss playing with those boys and being around it every week. But the fact is, you build those strong relationships over years where you sort of walk back and it's like seeing all your old crew again. So being able to help the community however we can is something that I'm big on, because I think if you're doing the work, you'll get repaid. Big believer in karma to an extent. So, so putting in the work to help the community, you get looked after. And again, as I said before, you just want to see. I'm big on seeing people succeed. So, I think nothing better than the community. Obviously, Gawler. If we could get the council, and I'll whack the council here, you can put this up, boys. This should be a good grab. But if we can get the council to find some money to put into some funding for the 3 local sporting clubs, because they need it and it needs to be a priority with council, because I think Gawler is a sporting mad community, and we've got 3 clubs with some pretty average facilities who are fighting for every dollar they can get to get an upgrade. So we need council to come to the party and help that. But the community of Gawler, you walk down the main street, you see the same guys at the Kingsford, you see the same guys at the Exchange Hotel. They're all Gawler Central, Williston, or South Gawler. You have a beer with all of them. You say good day to all of them. I think that's some of the coolest things about the community that we have up here in Gawler.
Absolutely. And that sort of answers our next question. We wanted to ask, do you believe local government or the government itself should pump more money into community sports? And obviously that's something that needs to happen. Probably a priority, would you think?
A massive priority. I think the Barossa Council deserve a big kudos for what they're doing at the moment. They've just done Tanunda, obviously, with Gather Round coming to Lindock. Lindock's, they're working hard on that. That's already looking amazing in terms of the work that they've done already in knocking everything down. But the local government, I think, has a little bit to answer for with where they're spending money at the moment and what the priorities are. I've spoken to a few people about this. I'm lucky I'm at Athelston, where we've just had an $8.5 million facility build in the last 2 years, which is incredible. So, the clubs aren't asking for anything like that, but, South Gawler have been crying out for ages for a new facility, and I think they're pretty deserving of one. And Gawler Centrals and Williston are much the same, starting to have those conversations. So, I think Anguston's been done. Newry have had a new little facility built, but they're probably due. Tanunda needs one. And then Barossa District are moving to Lindop, which is going to be huge. So, there's the Barossa Council doing a pretty good job over the last few years of getting these done. I think it's time for Gawler Council to step up and do the same thing.
Yeah,
Let's hope local government can do something.
How long have they been calling out to try and get new facilities, both South Gawler, Gawler Central, and Wilson?
Well, South Gawler, as long as I can remember, they've been trying to. So at least 10 years, I reckon, South Gawler, potentially a little bit longer. Gawler Central has been something they've been talking about for 3 or 4 years. Obviously, the Greyhound got the new facility built. Footy should have been integrated into that new bill with the Greyhound facility. But that hasn't been done. So I know they're working through it, and Williston are working to do it. And the other thing I love, the 3 Gawler teams, there's always such a rivalry against them. But what you've got now is you've got the 3 presidents from those footy clubs who are all great fellas, and they're all working together to try and get an outcome for everyone. So they're doing a good job, between Aldo Passon, Damien Brooks, and Cozzy Costa. They're doing a wonderful job, and hopefully they can get some outcomes soon.
So you coach, how did that all sort of come about, and how were you approached?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I was at Central Districts in 2019, just doing social media, and was just getting into the space, and we're doing the show and that, and starting to build relationships. And Roy Laird, legendary coach, one of the all-time greats, retired at the end of that year. And they brought in a new coach, Jeff Andrews, who he's a superstar. He's looked after me, still looks after me to this day. He come in they got appointed in 2020, and I was on the social committee for Gawler Centrals at the time, and there was talk. So I'd sit on the committee meeting as a social coordinator, and there was talk about women's footy program having to fold because they had a couple of average coaches, couldn't really find anyone to do it, and they were going to fold the program. And I sort of jokingly said, "Oh, I might be interested in doing it if my sister plays." Mum and Dad had just moved to Brisbane. We didn't see each other as much. Didn't think she'd play. And she turned around, and they said, "Oh, okay, no worries." So I asked her, and she goes, "Yeah, I'll play." I thought, "Oh, okay." So I'm doing this, taking it on, and COVID hit. And so Jeff, when he got the job, he was back in Melbourne because he's Melbourne based, and he's really good at checking in. So he rang me just to check in on me. I was just the media, I was just doing some media around it. But he just rang to check in, see how I was going, and saw that I'd got the women's job. And he goes, "Have you done any coaching?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Oh, do you want me to be a mentor?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." Like, I've never had an opportunity like this before. So took that up from him, and pretty quickly I was, setting up. He was helping me, and then had me setting up cones and getting involved in drills and that at Central Districts, which was pretty cool and pretty awesome. And then once games come around, got me to sit next to him in the box, and had a role in the box where I was sort of taking notes on discussions and that the coaches were having, so that when it got to the breaks, we could sort of work out what was important and what was the key messaging going out at the breaks. So that was pretty cool, and I learn a lot really quickly. Was thrown into it pretty quickly, and then that's only 4 years ago. It was all a free role as well. You volunteering, but as I said, the money, you're not driven by money, but it was what sort of progression was there. And I just managed to have a conversation with Woodville West Torrens and with Jade Sheedy, their coach, who he was a great fella just through media leading into the 2020 grand final, which they played in and won, and sort of organised to catch up and have a conversation with him. And there's probably room for me to have some more potential. I had a lot of mates that played at Centrals as well, or blokes that I went to school with and that. So to go and coach blokes the same age, to go in a new environment where I didn't know anyone, was going to be cool to sort of build up those relationships as coaches, and then got across to the Eagles and moved through the ranks pretty quickly there, working under Sheeds to the point where I coached the reserve, was the head coach of the reserves last year, and where we got knocked out in the prelim final, and then the opportunity come up to go and coach my own club at Athelstone now. So it's all happened pretty quickly in a short 4 year period. Not something that I ever thought I would do, but I've had some great mentors that have in Jeff Andrews and Jade Sheedy and Shane Reardon as well, who have really helped me and progressed my progress pretty quickly. And I've got to do some pretty cool stuff in that in that time. I've got to work in the state inclusion team that we go away and play a national carnival each year. So I've got to do that the last 2 years, which is pretty cool. And also worked in the state men's team that went to Perth in 2022 as well, which was also a pretty cool opportunity. So and all that time, I was coaching local women's girls footy at Gawler Centrals, where we won a flag in 2021 as well. So it's been a busy time, and I've definitely grinded it out. There was a period for about 12 weeks where it was seven days a week footy training or games, but which Stacey wasn't a fan of. But I've sort of been able to grind it out to be in the position that I'm in now, which is pretty cool.
Hard work pays off, Nighty.
Amen.
That is for sure.
Do you think your coaching at that level has helped you to, in a way, wanting to become an AFL player manager? As you said before, you were studying towards that.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely sparked my interest. I think there's, I'm someone that if I'm interested in, I will never say never. And we'll go just see what opportunity arises. Like I've got into coaching through media, not through coaching, just through media. That's how I've got to start. So just see what happens if I'm interested in. So player management's a space that I've been interested in for a little while. But when you're in the SANFL, you're not allowed to be a player manager because it's a conflict of interest, because you're dealing with players that are waiting to get drafted and that as well. So once I come out of the SANFL and knew I wasn't going to coach in the SANFL for a little period of time, it was something I was keen to do. So I've actually signed to work. I'm working for, employed by Helix Group or Helix Player Management, which is Trav's management group as well, and working in the football space for them, which is pretty cool. So that it's definitely a pathway that's come through coaching. There is the goal there to potentially one day coach at AFL level, not be a head coach. I don't think I'm ever going to be a head coach at AFL level.
Oh, come on.
you gotta
Chris
have
Fagan did it.
Yeah, he did. So you never know. You never say never. But to get in an AFL system and work in that system is something that I think is pretty cool as well. So there's a few different pathways there for me to take, but I'm 28. Keep the doors open and see where they lead.
Do you believe, we've kind of touched on it already, but do you believe that community sport brings value to a small town like Gawler, or even a smaller town like that, or Athelstone?
Yeah, like where you've coach now. Sorry.
Yeah, 100%. I think. I don't know what the exact studies are, but there's plenty of studies around being outside and sport and mental health, and it's something that gets talked about a lot these days. And kids getting on the Xbox and plenty of screen time and that. And I think the value that sports play in the local community, I don't know if it's understated, but it's probably not celebrated enough. How good being involved in a sporting club in the local community is, and just how good, especially for country towns. The further you go out, the more people that are involved in sport, because that's what they do on Saturday as an outlet. So I think it's the most important thing just about, yeah.
Nighty, you've been a good guest, mate. We're down to our final question. So what advice would you give to your younger self? What would you say to that young boy growing up, fantasizing about playing sport, or that person starting out the Bunyip newspaper and beginning that journey there? What would you say?
Yeah, well, I think younger playing sport is, don't be a lazy bloke and actually put your head down and try and work harder. Would be one. Maybe I might have gone a bit further with my footy if I did that. But that would be number one. I'll still tell my 28-year-old self that today. But anyway, it doesn't work. The beer's sometimes too cold, boys. But I think I think for me, the big thing is I got a lot of criticism when I started doing this and started launching this, and got a lot of people tell me it wouldn't work, or that, I'm full of myself, or a lot of people had plenty to say. And the funny thing is, a lot of those people now are the same people coming asking me for stuff.
Wow.
So I just ignore them.
Yeah.
So I think back then I got really worried about it, and it stressed me out, and you'd care what people thought of you, and everyone telling you that you can't, or people telling you can't do it, or what are you doing being here? What are you doing at a Sandful club? You don't deserve to be there, that sort of stuff. And they don't see the work you do. And I think just don't stress about it. Just say yes to everything. I'm big on that, is say yes and make it work, and see what happens, because you don't know what opportunity can come off the back of it. So I think, yeah, just now people want to say stuff. Which I know I don't hear it as much. Maybe they do it more quietly, but it's just, don't get tied up on that. Just keep focusing on the people that are getting behind you and supporting you. And it's something spoken about a lot, but the ones that are supporting you are the ones you want to hear from, not the people that have something to say and always negative, because most of the time they're just sad in their own life in their 9 to 5, not doing anything else. So that's probably the big one, is not to worry about what people say as much, because now couldn't give two asses what people thought. So it's just go and do my thing, and if I'm having fun, that's all that matters. So
Amen.
yeah, I think that's one. And for you boys early in this podcast journey, and that is stick at it, and keep grinding out, because you never know who you're going to meet or where you're going to be along the journey. So it's good work, boys, and you've done a good job.
Thank you, Noddy. You take on these opportunities, you open doors for yourself as well, and you never will know where it will lead. So thank you for coming on. It's been an absolute privilege. It's been good to see you over a screen again. No worries, Noddy. All right, take care, mate. Thanks, mate. Have a good one.
Cheers, boys.
What a great conversation with Matthew Knight. It was great catching up with an old mate as well. We haven't seen him in a while, and it's great to be able to see people like that again, even if it is over a screen. If you want to know more about King of the North Media, their website will be in the description. If you want to learn more about Matty Knight, a link to his Instagram will be in the description too. And if you want to learn more about Twin Times, a link to Charlie and I's Instagram will be in the description below. Other than that, that's a wrap. So this has been the Twin Times podcast. We wish you nothing but peace and love throughout the rest of the week. If you're on Spotify, if you could give us a rating out of 5 stars and a follow. And if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Other than that, we'll see you in the next one.